Hello, my name is John Lee. My sermon preaching text is Luke chapter 10, verse 25 to 37. I want to share with you what I experienced while I worked in the dining room of the Wesley Aged Care. One day, after restaurant finished their evening meal and left the dining room, I was wiping tables one by one. Usually to eat something left over and used to come over. Even that day, a big ant was looking for food fragment left over. Instantly, I wiped out the ant to clear it. But in a few minutes, when I came back to settle a tablecloth, I found some ant looking for something important, even though there was not any food left fragment more. I asked questions to myself. Why did they come here in spite of nothing left? Then, one idea hit my head. That moment, I saw the ants which were searching for something, wandering here and over there. Wow! In a few seconds, I realized a pivotal fact. Actually, they were looking for their friend, the big ant that I mentioned before. The little incident made me think an amazing thing. The fact that even very small ants take care of their friends. How surprising and beautiful the behavior of the ant was. Through this brief story of ants which try to care for their friend, I could feel that small ants also look after their neighbor. Today, Luke chapter 10, 25 to 37 is very famous for the parable of the Good Samaritan. I'm sure you have heard of it a lot. In fact, straight before this parable, Luke chapter 10 begins with an unusual and significant scene. Jesus sent out 72 disciples to every town and place where Jesus was about to go and return with joy, saying, Lord, in your name, even the demons submit to us. In verse 17. When they proclaim that the kingdom of God has come near to the people who live in the Samaritan village in verse 9. Also, Jesus reminds them of the significance of seeing what they see, because many prophets and kings desire to see what disciples see, but did not see it, and to hear what they hear, but did not hear it. In verse 24. And then he concludes that blessed are the eyes that see what you see towards his disciples. Then in verse 25, an expert in the law, a lawyer stood up to test Jesus. He asked, Teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life? What must I do to get eternal life? That's why the Jews longed for the Messiah who would be able to save them out of Roma's fierce rule. However, Jesus asked of him again in verse 26. Even though Jesus recognized the lawyer knew it very well as an expert. What is written in the law? The law expert answered, Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength and with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. And then in verse 28, Jesus told him his answer was correct, saying that, do this and you will live eternally. According to verse 29, however, probably to make himself look right, the law expert asked Jesus, and who is my neighbor? And who is my neighbor? I think he expressed his self-centered interest, which seemed to embed in his mind, asking, and who is my neighbor? In fact, as a theologian reckoned, he should have asked like that, listen, And am I the neighbor of people who are in need? Obviously, there is big difference between who is my neighbor and am I the neighbor of people who are in need? Am I the neighbor of people who are in need? At this point, Jesus introduced a man who was attacked by robbers in the way going down from Jerusalem to Jericho. Ironically, a priest and a Levite who were in charge of worship in Jerusalem temple at once passed him, even though they used to proclaim God's righteousness and love. Unbelievably, a Samaritan, however, who used to be neglected and detested by the Jews, willingly helped him to be cured beyond racial discrimination and sent the injured man to him. Wow, how good, generous, and fascinating. Let me read verse 33 to 35. Please listen carefully. But a Samaritan, as he traveled, came where the man was. And when he saw him, he took pity on him. He went to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. Then he put the man on his own donkey, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. The next day he took out 2 denarii and gave them to an innkeeper. Look after him, he said, and when I return, I will repay you for any extra expense you may have. Through this impressive parable, what could you find? I think Jesus had an apparent intention to point out the importance and necessity to take care of the weak and the vulnerable around the village and the community. Besides racial and historical conflicts between the Jews and the Samaritans. Why do you think Jesus told him this parable, which seems to reveal hypocritical life of the contemporary priest and Levite? Even though the priest and Levite had a religious fame, powerful authority, and wealth through the worship done in the Jerusalem temple, it is because they did not watch and hear the terribly injured in those times. Definitely, their wrong behavior and life away from the truth of the word must be contradictory to the message of love, as Jesus completed all the laws of the Old Testament through his death on the cross. Simultaneously, Jesus is earnestly asking the law expert to love his neighbors in order to get eternal life, as even a non-Jewish man like the Samaritan cared for a person who was in desperation without regard to race or nation. Likewise, we should watch our neighbors with the heart of empathy and sympathy of love in the multicultural context of Australia. Due to the absence of love and interest of modern people today, our neighbors are choosing suicide every minute and hour. During last school holiday, when my family outreached to Morling and Double for 2 nights and 3 days, I heard a tragic story of suicide from an elder of Double Baptist Church. Either averages were white, young or old, men or women, very recently. For them, any worldly wealth like money, stability, fame did not save themselves. Completely, they felt longing and a sense of separation. Besides the occasion, a very famous entertainer, one of Idol members in South Korea, killed herself at the age of 20. In spite of wealth and fame as a main vocal singer and actress. We are living in the age of relationship separation. These contemporary people could not afford to look after their neighbor or friends, even their relatives, even if there are a variety of social network systems called SNS. Practically, that's the main reason why I joined to Aboriginal outreach to New South Wales inland regions such as Dublin, Dublin, Morling Bridge, Briwarina, Cologne Bregat, Reich, Bogabella, and etc. in 2009 and 2010. Every time the mission team Emmanuel stepped into the Aboriginal villages, the young kids, the lovely young kids used to say, "Thanks for coming, thanks for coming, please come again, please come again." It seems to sound like echo to me, to my ears. I could not forget their pure and lovely eyes like you, who really long for love and deep interest. Above all, when we hug the children and their parents, opening our heart, we could acknowledge a unity as brother and sister in Jesus. To love each other is the commandment of Jesus. John chapter 13, 34, 35 says, "A new commandment I give to you, that you love one another. You love one another. Just as I have told you, you also are to love one another. By this all people will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another." In line with the word, the Apostle Paul concludes the relation between love and law in Romans 13, 9 and 10. Verse 9, let me say, the commandment, "You shall not commit adultery, you shall not murder, you shall not steal, you shall not covet," and any other commandments are summed up in this word: "You shall love your neighbor as yourself." Love does not wrong to a neighbor. Therefore, love is the fulfilling of the law. Love is the fulfilling of the law. Lastly, I want to share a powerful phrase of the word. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, 1 to 3. I am sure this phrase would trigger us to love truly towards our suffering neighbors. Even though some of you already cite this phrase, would you articulate this word? 1 Corinthians chapter 13, 1 to 3. What if I could speak all languages of humans and of angels? If I did not love others, I would be nothing more than a noise gong or a clanging cymbal. What if I could prophesy and understand all secrets and all knowledge? And what if I had faith that moved mountains? I would be nothing unless I loved others. What if I gave away all that I owned and let myself be burnt alive? I would gain nothing unless I loved others. As this short phrase describes, surprisingly, we might work in church community or among relationships with our neighbors without the agape love of Jesus. But as the Apostle Paul teaches us, all languages of humans and of angels, prophesying and understanding all secrets and all knowledge, faith that moves mountains, giving away all that I own, and let myself be burned alive, all those things would not